and then we can go into the conversation. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. Is I able to see my screen?
Yes, yes, we can.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So thanks again to the African Jobs Platform for putting this together and for everyone making time to be part of this session. Indeed, we have to punch today in the face. There's so much happening in our space, in the world, and even in the nation, and in our workplaces as well as school. So each day we have to wake up with the energy to make sure that we can do more. What are we talking about basically this afternoon? We're talking about career advancement. I'll go into the details of what the specific we'll be speaking about. But basically, when we talk about career advancement, we would want to talk about the entry level into the highest level of decision-making in businesses, because that's what we all aspire to. We want to be able to impact our society, want to impact our workplace, and immediately after school, we're looking out for opportunities to work, either to start our own businesses or to work with other businesses. So maybe it could be from the levels of internship. When we start national service, you do internship, and then we start looking for jobs. Sometimes we are retained at where we are. And where we are at jobs already, we want opportunity to advance. Looking for promotion, we're looking for salary increment, we're looking for higher pay, we're looking for opportunity to be with other bigger institutions than the ones we've started with. So yes, these are some of the things we'll speak to. But on career advancement, I would want to speak to three things: surviving the market space, striving in the market space, and then thriving in the marketplace or in your search for job. So these are things I'll speak to the strategy to advance your career advancement. I've been introduced, so I wouldn't go through of this again. But what is the objective of today's session? One of the things, or some of the things I would want you to pick up after leaving this session, is to understand the marketplace and the corporate life, to understand how to advance your own career, to develop skills relevant for promotion and success at the workplace, and to identify the most effective ways to stand out. So a quick exercise for all of us. What do you see in the image right there? If anybody sees it, just turn on your mic and then tell me what you can see in the image there. What do you see? Grace, what do you see in the image? We have 55 people right now online. I'm sure some are in pairs or in threes. Yeah, tell me what you see. Okay, Grace, your line is breaking. We can't hear you. Any other person? I can see online Moses. Moses, can you tell us what you see in the picture or the image? Moses? Okay. How about Johnson? Yes, you can go ahead, please.
My name is Uchenna.
Uchenna, yes, please.
Participating from Nigeria.
Great.
From the picture I'm seeing right on my screen. Thank you. From the picture I'm seeing on my screen, I'm seeing a young lady looking into the garage to an empty space.
Okay. The lady. I can hear Grace laughing, and I'm wondering why she's laughing. Grace, what do you see?
I can see a woman.
Which woman?
Looking somewhere. I can see a very young girl.
A young girl.
On the screen, okay. And on the screen is written, on the screen written paradigms and perspectives.
All right, sure. So Grace and Uchenna sees a young lady in this picture. Who else sees something different?
Hello.
Yes, please. Philip, go ahead, please.
Yes, I can see a woman with a despairing future, worried and despair, blink future.
What kind of woman do you see?
A woman that is very despair.
Are you also seeing a young woman?
A young woman, very despair, but blink future.
Okay, very disturbed with a blink future. Thank you, Philip. Who else sees something different? I can see some hands raised. Let me see. who is raising their hands? Okay, if your hand is raised, just go ahead, speak to us. I'm not able to see.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Larry.
Okay, so I'm joining now from Ghana. I can see a young lady looking into the future, and I see leaves falling from sky, representing opportunities.
Okay.
Okay, I am also
great. A young woman.
Also Abednego from AAU.
Okay.
I can see both pictures. I can see the young lady turning, looking towards her right side, but I can also see an old lady with a cape over her head and looking down.
Interesting. So 3 of us will see the young lady. I like the last one, see opportunities, but looking like with hope into the future. Kwame says he can see a young lady and an old woman. How many of you can see an old woman in this picture?
Yes. Moses.
I can see a young man.
You can see a young woman. Did you say a young man?
Young man.
Young man. Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Yes, hello. Go ahead.
Yes, I can see a lady who looks like she's a sister, a religious sister.
Okay, you can see a lady that looks like a sister.
Hello, can I give my opinion?
Yes, Alvin, go ahead.
Okay, I see an African lady with the mind has been open, and in the mind it's actually light, it's actually brighter. I see someone who she's got the dark skin but the brilliant mind.
Wow. All of this amazing. So the whole rationale behind this quick exercise. So let's go ahead. So isn't it interesting that we are all looking at the same picture, but people are seeing it differently? Some people are seeing a young woman, some people are seeing an old woman, some people are actually seeing the young woman and then the old woman, and some people are actually just seeing, you know, different other things, the details. Somebody seeing an African woman, somebody seeing opportunity. That is how the mind works. But while we're looking at this picture, we'll go into it shortly. But this is another picture. We will not go into the details. But again, if I were to take you through this exercise for you to tell me what you see, you'll be surprised that some people can see about 30 images, some people might see even 50 out of this small image. Some may just be able to see about 5, some may be able to see just 10 or 15, but it's the same picture. Why do we have different perspectives? And why do we have different observations? This is just how the mind works, because we are different people. The question we are asking this morning, which we are working with, for which we have in this training, is about career advancement. And the question is, whose duty is it? I work as an HR, a group head of HR, where we have businesses in about 7 African countries. We are in DRC, we are in Kenya, we are in Sierra Leone, we are in Nigeria, we are in Kenya, and then we are in Ghana here. I mean, just to mention a few, and we are in Zambia. And every now and then, I have to deal with employees. I always tell people that one of the very difficult job to do in the world is being an HR, and people disagree with me because they also believe that yes, it's the most difficult one. But as an HR, you see people come into the business right from wherever they come in, and then you see some hesitant. It's painful when your most talented talents are leaving you within the business. More importantly, because you might have invested in them, trained them, and given them opportunities to grow. So if you were an employer on this call, or if you are in HR, you will know that this is a very difficult decision most of the time to make, especially when there are dedicated people and very talented ones. In the same way, you are quick to want to let those who are underperforming go. But then the question we're asking this morning is that for individuals who are also within the business, who are employees, who is really responsible for your career advancement? Is it the business or is it to yourself? Richard Branson had this to say about investing in talent within our space. He says that you have to train people well enough so that they can leave. Treat them well enough so that they want to stay. It means that you have to invest in them anyway. It's a difficult thing. What does Henry Ford say about the same thing? He said the only thing worse than training employees and having them leave is not training them well and having them to stay. So it's a dilemma every business owner or employer faces. Should we invest in people or should we not? Because what if we invest in them and they leave? That is a loss to us as a business. But then the question too is that if we don't invest in them and they stay, that means they're going to be very unproductive. And that is a loss to us as a business. So on the employer side, I just want to settle before we go further that employees have no choice than to invest in people, especially once they employ them. So that is settled. But to an employee, the question is, should you care whether your employer invests in you or not? And if they don't, should it be left there or you need to do more? So how do you survive the job market? There's the reality of unemployment presently. And I want to state that I know I'm speaking to a diverse group of people, some who are unemployed looking for job opportunities, some who are already employed and they want career advancement, they want opportunity to grow in the business, to be promoted, to increase their salary. So I'll be speaking to all these groups of people. So when I touch on something that relates to you, great. And if it's not yet, just wait for it. We'll get to that point where you will benefit from this. So just a quick one. This statistic, I was just focusing a little bit on Ghana. And what we know in Ghana is that over 350,000 people enter the job market every year. I'm sure wherever you are, if you're in Nigeria, if you were in Sierra Leone, wherever you are, you may have similar situation where we have a large number of people always being released into the job market after their tertiary institution, or maybe even after just the senior high level. This number is expected to increase by 25% consistently over 2 years. Now, contrary to popular assertion, a lot of people think that actually what is happening is that there are no jobs in the system. But the truth of the matter is that there are jobs in the system. It's just that the capacity for people to rise up to most of the roles within businesses is lacking. Like I'm telling you, I'm an HR in a business, and we've advertised about 10 different roles since last month. We've had a couple of people that we've interviewed for this role. Interestingly, we just realized that most of them don't come up as qualified for the role. Now, that juxtaposed people saying that there are no jobs in the system seems to be contradictory, because why are people saying that there are no jobs, and why is it that employers are looking for people to employ and they don't seem to have a lot of people to occupy the roles? Jobs are more globally interconnected than ever. Just like on this call we have right now, you can imagine the number of nationalities on this call, and we're all aiming at the same jobs across the different sectors in different countries because people are ready to accommodate expatriates, right? So there is that wide gap in there, and we're all trying to look out for these same opportunities. There's a widening gap between academic offerings and industry expectations. So yes, people are coming out of school, coming out with first class, second class APES, but when it comes to the job itself, they are not able to deliver. I'll come back quickly to the myth and misconceptions in the job market, but we'll talk about that briefly. Before we go there, let me just close up on this. Entrepreneurship development in most schools is largely theoretical. What is happening is that most schools which are actually even taking up entrepreneurship courses and trainings are not partnering with corporate institutions where people learn practical skills whilst picking up the theoretical part of it in the classrooms. And then finally, most candidates are poorly prepared for the job opportunities, right? Most people don't know how to prepare CVs and how to even interview. I've met very brilliant people who come to my desk looking for jobs, but unfortunately for them, they are not able to interview. They are not able to speak up. They are not able to communicate effectively their value to business and how they seek to contribute to the business if they were employed. So that becomes a stumbling block between them and the job opportunities. For some people, just like what the African Jobs Platform is, it's created a platform for you to upload your CVs and have opportunities for people to select you for interviews. The first point of call is when you look at some of the CVs, they are poorly prepared that you are asking yourself, if I were to take this person into my job, looking at the fact that people are not detail oriented, the way they structure their CVs, that is how they are going to relate to my work if I took them in. So employers are skeptical about employees just at looking at their resume or CV. But truth of the matter is that you are just one among the lots out there who are also looking for job opportunities. This is the reality of life, your plan. And most of us, this is how we expected that life will be. Probably if you were just completing school or even you are in a job, you have your own expectations about life. You thought, okay, immediately after school, I'm going to get a job. I'm going to get a six-figure, and I'm going to be doing well. I'll be in a managerial position. All the things you could plan. Someone says, I'll marry, I have children, we'll go for vacations, we'll travel abroad, all of that. Somebody says that within the next 2 years, I'm sure I'll have a double of my salary. That's your plan. But truth of the matter is that the reality is dawned on us, just like you're seeing in the image, how you set off, how you thought the road was going to be smooth. But then there's a valley on the road, there's a river you have to cross, there's a rainy season, and that is just how life happens to all of us. But how do you navigate all these that you don't look up to, but then they come your way? This is how most of our job seekers think. And if you are one of those people who is thinking like that, I'm sure this will be speaking to you, but that's fine. That is why you are in this section, so that we can look at that mindset and see how we can think differently. We have something we call assumed constraints, and assumed constraint, according to Ken Blanchard, is a belief based on past experiences that limit our current and future experiences. So they've worked with in the past, they have come to a point where they doubt the future and they think that opportunities don't even exist for them anymore. Some people say that there are no jobs in the system, especially those who are still looking for a job. Probably you're home for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you've still not gotten a job. So they've concluded there are no jobs because really, if there are jobs, I should have been employed all this while. Some people say, well, I've tried so many times, but I'm not getting the job. It looks like the employers just don't like me. They don't like me. Really, they don't like me. That's why they keep not giving me the job. Some people say that our organization are always asking for work experience, but if they don't give us the opportunity, where do they expect us to get the job experience from? So yeah, fundamentally, you want 3 years, 4 years, but I've not had any opportunity since I completed school. How am I going to get that experience? That's true. It's not entirely true. So we'll look at that. And then there are people who are saying that there's so much favoritism and discriminating in the system. So yeah, people are giving jobs to their sons and their nephews and their, family friends and all of that. And I don't seem to have anybody to give me that opportunity. Others say that I've failed a lot of times in interviews and I've been rejected so many times. Why should I keep trying? If this is any of the things you've said in the past, I understand you. And I don't fault you for it because probably that is your experience. But what we are saying is that is not entirely true. But you have to have a shift of mind if things are going to change for you and if you're going to proceed and advance from where you are right now. Alvin said that by instructing students how to learn and relearn, a powerful new dimension can be added to education. In the same way, he says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So yes, you've experienced some things, so that's been your learning, but you have to unlearn some of the thinking that there are no jobs in the system. Some of the thinking that, well, they want 7 years, 3 years experience that I don't have, so how am I going to proceed further? Ready to unlearn them. So this opportunity this afternoon, as we're here, is opportunity for you to relearn. So what are some of the things you're going to relearn? One of the things you have to relearn and think differently about, have a paradigm shift, is that really jobs. So you need to know how to find them. So this opportunity this afternoon is to help you to know how to find them and how to prepare for them. Because it's only when you prepare for them and they come that you can grasp them, right? There are opportunities for internships and volunteerism to build experience. So people say that, okay, organizations are looking for this work number of years of experience, but how can I get it? One of the ways you can get it is by volunteerism, please. One of the ways you can get them is by internships. So in HR, really, when we advertise jobs and we are asking for years of experience, technically what we are actually asking for is your capacity to get the work done. What is capacity? Capacity basically means that, okay, you've done similar things before, or you've done things like that before. So if you are given opportunity, you are likely to be able to do it again. How does internships help this kind of experience? So if you were in school, in the tertiary institution, every year you have vacations. So assuming you are a finance person, you are studying something in finance or accounting, and you have vacation, you want to go to a business, which you would tell them that maybe the first year you say, okay, I'm on vacation. I just want to gain some work experience. So I want to do internship with you. And I understand that it's not going to be paid for, but what I want really is the experience. The unfortunate thing is that most of us want to put money ahead of experience, especially when it's just entry level. And sometimes that's where we fail at. When you are really at the entry level, when you've not started job yet, you should try to take advantage of opportunities that are created rather than focus mainly on just the money. So you should go into those businesses, ask for that opportunity. That internship, it should just be 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. But practically, you will learn what is done in businesses when it comes to finance or when it comes to accounting, right? I'll use my role as an example, HR. So we've just taken in some interns. We've taken them for 3 months. And really, most of them don't really have any experience in HR, even though they've studied HR. Now, businesses don't just employ you because you have studied something. What they are employing you for is for your technical skills to come and get work done. They want you to come and solve problems within businesses. So if you are intending, what happens is that most of those people, let me take the ones I have in my department. When we are having recruitment, I get them involved in the recruitment process. So what do? We publish roles on job platforms, and then we develop job description document. And then what I am helping them to do is I'm teaching them how to develop job description document. I'm teaching them how to post jobs on portals. And then when it comes to the interview, I'm teaching them how to evaluate candidates. So when we have an interview for somebody, they may sit in that on that panel, not to ask questions, but just to observe. So in that observation, they know how questions are asked, how to interview people. So by the time they are done with the 3 months with us, these people might have gained the skills at how to interview people, how to score people, how to evaluate people, how to post jobs. If we're going to have trainings, these are the people that will organize the training. We would have done training needs assessment, so they know how that is conducted. After 3 months, these people might have had these technical skills at their fingertips. So if you are someone listening to me right now, you're asking yourself, but I don't have those skills, I don't have those number of years of experience, business asking for it. One of the ways you can gain those skills, one of the ways you can gain that number of years of experience is through internship. If first year vacation, you do internships, you have 2 vacation, long vac, you go and do another internship, maybe it's another 1 month. If you did it and you are in school for four years, by the time you're done with 4 years, technically you might have gained 1 year full experience, all right? And then if you were to be doing your national compulsory service to the nation, which is another 1 year, that would have earned you a 2 years working experience. So technically you might have 2 years experience. So if jobs are advertised, you can actually apply for them. So you have to stop saying that if we don't have the skill and they're asking for 1 year experience and 2 years experience, how can we get that? You can actually get that. Now, let me give you another example before I proceed further. So there was a business I was working for in the past. Again, we advertised opportunity to recruit people into internship. And I had one person who applied for internship. The person was doing procurement and supply chain. But this business was actually recruiting interns for HR. And this person says that, okay, I'm doing procurement and supply chain, but that's not really what I want to do. And I want to shift. So this person had been employed for close to 2 years doing a supply chain and had good pay, like really good pay. But the person says that she's not really satisfied with the procurement and supply chain. What she really wants to do is HR. But in applying for jobs, the businesses want somebody who has experience in HR. So she realized that limited in that application because she can't apply because she doesn't have this work experience. What can she do is to try, what she can do is to try to get some experience in HR. She applied for this internship program. It was meant to be for 3 months. Truth of the matter is that after the 3 months internship period, which actually technically serves like a probation period, if you are getting a job offer, we realized that the person was good. So we extended an offer. We gave a contract of 6 months. Now, this time around, this was going to come with a pay. So, but it's not actually up to the pay the person was taking prior to the internship opportunity. But then the person took it on because he was performing very well. So technically, the person had another 6 months to gain work experience in addition to the 3. That would technically be much of benefit to the person. After the 6 months, the business decided to take the person on. So the person started on the entry-level role. Excellent opportunity to start with. Talking to you right now, 4 years down the line, the person hasn't applied. I have moved from where I was working and I knew the work inputs of the person. I've moved to another business and we wanted somebody to hire for an assistant manager HR role, which was paying higher than the person was taking. The person had the opportunity to be recruited to join my business. So the person is with us right now. What am I saying? Starting on that low pay was really a big thing for the person, but it was an opportunity for the person to develop capacity to be able to progress into the space that the person wants to. So yes, there's always opportunity to do that. People can easily vouch for people they know. That's another thing you need to know. So people saying that, it's about favoritism, it's about people whom you know that is going on. And I think if you might have heard it, some people saying that now it's not just about who you know, but it's about who knows you. Is it wrong? If it's nepotism, yes, it's wrong. But what you need to do is to have a paradigm shift that keeps on telling you that, it's about whom you know. When you have the competencies and then you have people vouching for you, it's an easier conversation, right? Because truth of the matter is that people only vouch for others whose character they can trust and people whom they believe that when they vouch for, they will not disgrace them or disappoint them. And most businesses really right now are also looking for opportunities for recommendations because they realize that that is a more trusted way of having people work with. Assuming somebody had worked with Grace for about 6 years, Grace knows the person through and through, or somebody worked with Frank and Frank knows the person through and through. Frank knows that the person is a high performer. And right now I'm on a call and I tell Frank or Grace that, Grace, I want a business administrator to recruit. Can you get me somebody to fill that role? And Grace or Frank tells me, yes, I have this person who has worked with me for 6 years. He's really good and you can trust that. Then I'm also recruiting. Like I've actually published jobs and other people are also applying. And I have these about 3 people from Grace coming through. And then I have people coming just through the portal. And I've interviewed all of them, right? And they are all competently good. Like they are very good at their performance. Both the ones Frank and Grace have given me and the ones that I got on the portal, right? Or who just applied directly, who cannot be vouched for, right? And after interviewing them, now I'm wondering which of them really whose character can be trusted. Whom do you think I would go for? The temptation to go for the ones Grace and Frank has given me is high because I have a relationship with Frank and I know Frank and Grace's reputation is on the line. Frank and Grace will not just give me somebody who will not perform because then that will put our relationship on the line. So his reputation is in there in addition. So that is what we call social currency. So it's working out for people. My point here is that don't just sit back and say that it's about whom you know and it's nepotism and all of that. You should also try to build network and leverage on opportunities to know people and then keep working at your competencies because that is one of the things that is going to count for you. And we call it marginal gains, incremental gains. Every now and then you find new people you have acquaintances, you develop relationships, and that opens new doors and opportunities for you. So how do we strive? How do we advance our career? So I've talked about the first level, if you are entry level, but if you are working already, traditionally, career has been defined by many people as paid employment. So yes, I'm doing a job and I'm being paid for it. It's a single occupation. So I'm an HR in another business, or I'm a finance manager, I'm a procurement person, I'm a project manager, I'm a tech IT person, whatever it is. So you are excited about it. That's a traditional definition of career. It's one job and you are being paid for that job, right? But the world today really has been impacted, and an impact of career has changed because there's increasing competition, there's technological advancement, information globalization, you know, and even COVID, remote working, all of these things have come in. So you have to really begin to think about career differently. This is just a traditional way. Career means more than just, you know, one job that you are doing. I personally think that career means, you know, your talent, your ability, your skills, your passion, your field of interest, and the process of building capacity, right? All of these actually sum up what your career journey will look like. Now, there are people who actually have passion for a particular kind of study or a particular kind of career, but they have interest in a different field. Let me give you an example. So somebody is really like excited about military. I really love the military. I just want to work in the military, but I'm studying accounting. How do I work in the military? Sometimes we fail to understand that in the military, it's not everybody that goes to war. There are other professional careers within the military itself. We have finance people in military who are just professionals in the military, you know, in the army. So they serve as the accountants, they serve as the HR, they serve as the, you know, the IT people. So yes, you may be passionate about IT, but maybe the field you really want to work in is in the military. Maybe you've studied finance, but you're not thinking about working in the banking industry. Some people think that just because you study finance, you should by all means work in the bank. No, not necessarily. Somebody wants to really work in the church as the church accountant. So it's a passion in a particular field, a particular study, but then the field may differ. And that's how you need to really think about your career. Probably you've been skewed in your thinking for a while. You said, okay, I studied this and I just want to work in this firm, accounting and auditing firm, because I studied accounting and auditing. Maybe not, that's not where you have to be. You have to look further beyond just that field because your skill set is needed in other areas, right? So a job may be helpful in the process of finding your career path. So somebody started as a security person, but really that's not what the person wants to do long term. But that's just a job because you have to take that to keep ends meeting, you know, you have to make ends meet. So you have to pay the school fees, you have to pay the rent, you have to take care of your children. So you just have to take a job for now. And that job is significant. You don't have to relegate it to the background. Somebody said, okay, I went to school and I studied something in science, but right now it looks like the jobs that are available are customer service. What I studied and the jobs that are available are in contrast, but it looks like, how is it going to be? Your career development encompasses all the jobs you might have taken along the journey to finally find yourself. So in senior high school, I studied science. I studied general science. When I got to the university, I did something in social studies. I studied political science and sociology. And then in my final year, I picked a free elective in human resource management. When I finished, I started volunteering to serve in human resource NGOs to do human resource management. And then when I had the opportunity, I went to study human resource for my master's program. Immediately after that, I had a job offer in a consultancy firm because I had a research background. So consultants work so much with research and data. So that helped me. And within 2 years, I built capacity for HR, and then I advanced into a mainstream HR role, and that is what I'm doing right now. The point I'm making here is that you don't have to be fixated on what you're doing right now. It might just be a job you are doing that eventually will help you along the way, because after 2 years, 3 years, you would look back and you realize that the job you were doing then actually taught you something that is applicable in the new space that you are in right now. So remember that career journey includes all the roles you've undertaken throughout your life. It includes your education, your training, paid and unpaid jobs, family volunteer work, leisure activities, and more. And those of you who are religious, especially if you were a Christian, an example could be David, the King David in the Bible for you. David started his career as a shepherd, and he was a musician who was employed by the king in the king's court. And later on, he served as an armor bearer to the king, and then he advanced to be a military leader, and he eventually became a king. That is how career looks like. It starts somewhere, but it's a journey that you are on, which will eventually lead you to the main space that you want to be. So career is actually a continuous process of learning and development. So these are differences between career and jobs. I will not spend so much time here, but basically job is what you do for the check, the pay, you know, and most of the time it's about just the moment, you know. It doesn't have, it has minimal impact. So you just want to get your job done and get your pay. So yeah, I'm doing it for the moment. It's just for the cash. But career really means all of that things you've done in the past and how they all connect the dots eventually to lead you into the space you want to be. So organizations sincerely recruit for talents, they hire for competencies. What do I mean by they recruit for talent and hire for competencies? So what we in HR, we refer to candidates that we want to recruit for business as talents, right? So we're looking for people who are high performers, people who are problem solvers, people who have the right skill sets, right? But the competencies we're looking out for, it's actually the technical competencies, the managerial competencies, and then the personality competencies. So each role that is advertised within a portal, like maybe if we were advertising on the African job portal, we will state specifically the technical requirement for that role, all right? So if it's an IT role, there are technical skills that IT people have, and that is required for every IT role that we are recruiting for, right? If it's a project management, there are typical skills that project management requires. These are technical roles, and you need to have them to be able to qualify for that role. Now, the next level is managerial skills. This will have to do with your communication skills, your organization skills, your ability to lead people. So we'll be asking about how many people you've led in the past, how many teams you've worked with in the past. These are general managerial competencies. So if you were in an interview and you are being asked questions, these are the three categories of questions that will be coming to you. We will not tell you, okay, we are now asking you a technical question or for technical competence. No, but they cut across. But I'm just making you aware. So when you go for interviews, these questions are asked and they are specific. So again, I'll use my field. There are technical skills required for somebody who wants to do HR. You should be able to recruit people, so you have technical skills in recruitment. You should be able to know about training. So there are technical skills required in training. You should conduct training needs assessment. You should be able to conduct HR audits. You should be able to, all of these things are technical skills in HR. So if you are an HR person, I'll be asking you how you're to do this. These are technical roles. Then managerial will ask you, how many people have you led in your team before? Work with about 4 people, 5 people. Okay, tell us about how you worked with them. You were their team lead and you were responsible for the project. You were the one who evaluated the project. How did you inspire them to achieve and accomplish tasks? Those are questions we'll be asking about managerial competencies. Then the final one is the personality competencies. And this actually has to do with your ability to fit within the business itself. So let me give an example. Jobs are advertised and we say that, okay, in this particular industry, it's a fast-paced industry. So what we want is that we want somebody who can stand pressure, who can work fast, and is able to understand that you'll be working with people. So you should be lively and connect to people, customer service required of you, blah, blah, blah. Those are personality competencies. And most of the time we get resumes and people say, hey, I can work in a fast-paced environment. I can work much under pressure. And then you get them onto the job and they're like, this place is too fast-paced and there's so much pressure of work, But the truth of the matter is that businesses are deliberate about these things because there are people who are technically good, who have the managerial competencies, but they just cannot fit into specific work environments. So eventually you realize that they are underperforming, not necessarily because they are not good, but just because the environment in which they've come to is not the most adaptable for them. So these three things are important for you to evaluate yourself on when you are applying for a role. Now to job interviews. Most of the time, many of us think that job interviews are some strict conversation and uptight conversation. So when you're going in, you're over preparing and you're trying to find the right thing to say, memorize words to say and all of that. Truth of the matter is that no, you have to relax about interviews. Most people who get job offers at interviews actually are people who understand that interviews are conversations that are tailored towards accessing them, right? So it's about connecting to the panel. Like, how are you able to connect them when you are having this interview? And it's an interview to find out information about you, but the other side of it, which I want to emphasize this afternoon, is that it's actually interviewing you. You want to ask yourself if it's a business you want to work for, right? So interviews actually offers the opportunity for you to know the business as the business is trying to know you. That is why during interviews, you're likely to be asked, do you have any question for us after the conversation has ended? Because that is an opportunity for you to want to know about the business. And every employer is excited to know that, oh, you want to know more about us. And especially when you ask very intelligent questions, even if you don't perform very well during the interview, and last minute you ask a very intelligent question that strikes a chord, you're likely to have an opportunity and an opening within the business. That is why when you're going for an interview, it's important that you learn about the business. Want to know what problems the business is trying to solve, which space are they in right now, and what skill sets and values are you bringing to help bridge those gaps in the interview conversation. So we know by now there are different levels of interviews, different types of interviews, especially after or this period of COVID. We've had a lot of more virtual interviews, that is on Zoom or phone or video interviews. And usually what people think about is that, oh, this one is just video and I'm somewhere away, so it doesn't really matter. And people just get on the call anyhow dressed and not well prepared. But if you have an opportunity to have a video call, I would advise you to dress just the best way you would have if you were going to go in person, and be prepared to connect with the people. If possible, be ready to show your video. Let them see your face, let them see your smile, and make sure that you mention the panel members by their names when you are answering the questions they're asking you. And then we have out of office interviews. This times, people are actually arranging, an employer could just take you to a restaurant nearby. And the whole idea around that is that they want to see how you work best outside the office space, right? The office, you may all be all formal, trying to say the right thing, do the right thing, but maybe over a lunch, I'll see how you eat and how your mannerism and all of that. So it's an observation period during those sessions as well. Group interviews are where maybe 3 of you are applying for the same role and all of you are put in a room and you are being asked a question. These group interviews most of the time are really to test how you work in a team. We're actually testing your leadership skills. We want to test how you collaborate with people. So a question is asked one of the people in the room and the person responds, and then it comes to you. How do you respond to that same question? Do you quickly rubbish what the first person says just for you to project yours? Or you're going to add to, or just like my colleague said, I think, or in addition to what my colleague said, that is a collaborative response to an interview question. And then again, we want to see who is taking initiative and standing out. So the question is thrown out there. They've not asked any particular person. They say any of you can answer. Are you able to step up first to say, I'm the one answering those questions? So those are some of the things about group interview. Behavioral-based interviews are actually based on track record. So tell us about a situation when you handle a project like this and what was the outcome. You led a team. Tell us about how you led a team to achieve a particular result. These are questions targeted at you, referring to something you did in the past, and if given the same situation, how you would respond to that. So this is a quick one for you, for most of us who are still interviewing or those who are still looking for opportunities and job places. One of the key things you can use, technique you can use to make sure you do very well in an interview is what we call the STAR approach or the STAR technique. So in interviews, really, HR people and employers are actually trying to find out your track record to see how you can perform in the future. That's basically what we do when we are interviewing you. So we use your track record to predict your performance in the future. So in all the conversations we're having, we're trying to find out what you've been able to do in the past. So each question we ask you, the best way to really answer is to connect it to something you've done in the past. So this is what it means by situation. So give us a detailed background, provide a context of where and what you did. So I said, okay, you tell us about your leadership skill, right? Somebody would just say, oh, I'm a leader. Oh, yes, I communicate well. Oh, I'm a good organizer. And, you know, I lead very well. That's the person's answer. No, that doesn't really project your leadership skill. So you want to tell us about a situation where you led, because that brings your leadership into context. So you said that, okay, I remember when I was working with Talo, there was this project that was brought on and I was to be the team lead on that project. We were a team of 5 people. And as the leader, what I did initially was to share the work among everybody. I gave specific tasks to people for them to work on. Immediately you say that you are projecting that you are a leader that delegates. You are a leader that plans before execution. So in those statements and situations that you are talking to us about, we're actually picking up the qualities that we want in the leader. So that's the situation. We're given a project to work on. The task is, maybe example was to come up with an innovative idea to see how we can ensure protection of those who go onto the underground drilling. So that's the task. So you want to describe the task. And what action did you do? So yes, as a team, we met usually on Wednesday. Every Wednesday, we had a deliberation brainstorming session where everybody presented their ideas to us, and then we put it together in a PowerPoint form. Like you wanted to demonstrate what you did in that particular situation. And what was the result? So after we put our presentation together, we presented to management. Management evaluated it and they thought it was a brilliant idea worth execution. So we put together an execution team, and then we carried it out. And we've implemented that. And I mean, it's been 3 years now since we implemented that, and evaluation year on year shows that that project that we undertook has really helped the business because it has reduced the number of deaths in the business when people go into the drilling, you know, and it has promoted health and safety. Having said these things in those few sentences, when you were asked about your leadership skill, actually concretize your experience and your expertise, your value, your skill as a leader. And that is how you actually need to answer questions when you go for interview. So any question you are asked when you go for an interview, just use this STAR approach. Talk about the situation that relates to the question they are asking you. What were the tasks that you were asked to do? What actions did you take? And what was the result? The result actually talks about the outcome and how that has added value to the business that you were with. And you know, any panel member on an interview would mark you high because they see that you are showing practically what you can do. Just a quick one for you. Businesses and any top-notch organization will not necessarily employ you simply because you need the job. And again, I must say, sometimes it may hurt your ego. Businesses will not employ you simply because you had a first class. I mean, what businesses are looking out for really is value and problem-solving skills. I'm not saying you getting a first class is not important. It is important because it shows also that you are committed and you are a resilient person, relentless person who strives for excellence. But that is not enough. You need to add to that qualification practical skill sets, problem-solving skills that add value to the business. And then again, you need to know that when a business offers you an opportunity, if they give you an offer, it's just an offer, really. Like, because our parts of the world, there's unemployment, people are forced and feel coerced to just accept every offer that is given to them. It may sound contradictory. I'm not contradicting myself in terms of trying not to focus on the money. What I'm trying to say here is that if you did your assessment on a particular business and you think that it's not a business you want to work for, probably because that business is abusive, there's sexual harassment, or there's reputational issues on the business for which you don't want to work for, you don't have to accept an offer simply because they are offering you an offer, right? So final part of my presentation this afternoon, how do you strive within businesses? How do you get that promotion? Probably you are already working, but what you're looking out for really is opportunities for promotion, opportunities for growth, and you want salary increment. So what do? 3 things you need to focus on really is, first and foremost, what is your purpose within any business that you are working in? You need to have your own career goals, right? What is my career goals? What am I aiming at? I gave you an example of my colleague who transitioned from procurement and supply chain to HR. Her goal at that point was saying that I want to transition. Yes, I'm getting a good pay in supply chain, but what I want to do, and I think I'll get fulfillment in career, is to do HR. So my career goal is that the next 3 years, I want to transition into HR. What it means is that I'll do internship, I'll do voluntary, I'll do contract jobs, and then I'll gain the work experience. When she did, after 3-4 years, she had a work experience. So when a job offer was published, which said that we want people with 3 years experience, 4 years experience, she was able to apply for it. Where she was working, the money was not so substantial. It was low, but it gave her opportunity to develop skill sets and capacity for 3 years. So when a new offer came that had the amount of money she was looking up to, she was able to jump onto it and apply for it. So evaluate that. What's your personality and identity? Look at the businesses that fit to your temperament, that fits to your personality type. There are businesses out there. There's a financial institution that is fast-paced. There is another business institution that requires your financial skills, but it's not fast-paced. Probably that's where you can strive or want to evaluate that and see this is where I'm going. So 3 key things you need to do. Every business in which you find yourself in right now that you are working, you have to aim at what we call becoming a high flyer within the business. Be a high performer. No business wants to promote people who are not high flyers, because in HR, what we say is that you'll be sending a wrong signal to every other employee within the business that you can just be a low performer and we'll promote you. So truthfully, we will not promote you if you're not a high performer. That is when performance management and job evaluation comes in. So if you are someone who is really intentional about your career growth, what you need to do is to aim at being a high flyer. What does that mean? It means you're going to go above and beyond the expectations of the business. So if you don't have to just work within your job description, you say, oh, this is my job description. It's an 8 to 5 job. So I'm just going to go, you're packing your bag and baggages and you want to leave. When you do that, you are not going the extra mile to prove that you are a high performer. Because what happens is that after that time, maybe 4:50 that you want to leave because you are done with your job, there is a project going on that your other colleagues are working on that you could have provided support on. And if you did, and it's just 30 minutes, maybe you would have closed at 5:30 or by 6 o'clock by giving that time hours. Your colleagues will be the ones who will begin to recommend you and say, this guy goes extra miles, he helped us, he's a team player. And when it comes to voting for the employee of the month, the employee of the quarter, the employee of the year, you know that you are featuring in that. And consistently, if you are being adjudged employee of the month, quarter, and all of that, you are standing in a good place as a high flyer. You need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. What does that mean? If you are in a business, you want to think like the employer. If I were the owner of this business, what will I do? There's the old saying by most people that, this guy, he works as though the business belongs to his father. Those are the people we actually think are high performers, really, because they go the extra mile. They think profit, they think data. And when they are making recommendations to management or their supervisors, they're not just saying that, oh, I think you should do this. They actually provide data that guides those decisions. And because those things are happening, they are seen in a good light by the employer and by their colleagues and their team members. And the final thing you need to do is that you need to know that it's not just about your performance if you're going to upgrade or if you're going to be promoted within the workspace. How are you developing your managerial skills? Because something executive presence will refer to your knowledge, your gravitas. How authentic are you and how knowledgeable are you in your space? Are you standing out? If you're an IT person, you become the go-to person that even your employer can say to other partners that, oh, I have this IT person who can solve this problem for you. Like they're able to make that recommendation for you. You stand out. When you come, everybody's looking up to you. You command some attention and influence. These are some of the things that helps you to stand out within businesses. So let me wrap it down. As someone who is planning to have career progression, one of the key things you need to do is to set career goals for yourself. Set timelines. People say that when you set timelines, you put so much pressure on yourself. Truth of the matter is that if you don't set timelines, also, you may not hit anything because that means that you don't have any target you are working towards. So you need to have targets. Say to yourself that I want to grow into this managerial level by the next 3 years. Now, when you set that goal for you, what it does to you is that it puts pressure on you to do the things that will make it possible for you to become a manager. What are the professional programs that you need to take? What are the training programs that you need to take? What are the projects within the businesses that gives you opportunity to show your managerial skills, to show leadership, to communicate effectively, to show your organizational skills? It's only when it's demonstrated and it's seen that we can entrust you with some of those opportunities. So you need to set those goals and timelines. Take advantage of training and professional development programs when they come. Ask your HR, what are those professional programs that are available? There are lots of them. I mean, most of them being thrown at them now, even remotely. Some of them are free. Take those training programs and position yourself as the next person. Businesses are going digital. Do you have the digital skills? Gone were the days where people were gurus in typewriters, and when computers came, you had to quickly learn to use the computer or you fizzle out. And people did not develop the skill sets. And when the time came, they had to go. Are you leveraging on digital skills and technological skills at this time to position yourself better? Like I mentioned, join and take on projects and volunteer to be the leader. How about those of us who probably are doing things now that we want to move from that space to another space, like I shared with you earlier? One of the things you can do is what we call job shadowing. Job shadowing helps you to learn other skills in other departments. So maybe you are a finance person, but you want to move into HR. Well, how can you start that? Or you are a finance person, you want to do project management, and some of your colleagues are in the project space, or you want to do IT. Sorry if I don't mention a field you are in. I'm just using this as an example. But whichever field you are in and you want to move into another thing, one thing you can do is what we call job shadowing. And what it means is that going into those departments and those of your colleagues who are in those spaces and ask them how you can help them with their work. Sometimes people have work so much to do, they don't even know how to do it all by themselves. And they wish they had help. And if you can offer those helps, they will coach you to help you to provide them with the assistance that they need. And coaching you, helping you to also develop those skill sets. If 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, that colleague you have shadowing, you have learned the job so well with him whilst doing your own job, decides to leave the business, and there's no ready replacement for the person, you can volunteer and say, oh, I know how to do this. I've been doing it with him. They would give it to you temporarily. And when you are doing it temporarily, if you show that you can do it so well, you may be the one to begin to own that space. And that becomes the job offered to you. And you can leverage on it and negotiate for a good offer for that. It's an addition to you because you can do your job and do that one as well. You have multi-skills that your colleagues do not have. Another thing we talk about is lateral moves. This one is taking on directly and saying that, I can do it. Probably not doing it within the business. You might have studied outside, gained that skills, and then the opportunity came and you say, okay, I'm the one to do it. We've talked about volunteerism and internship. And the final one I want to talk about is the need for you to seek mentors. Mentors are people who provide you with constructive feedback on your work. They may tell you the hard truth some of the times that you don't want to hear. I have had mentors and then also another group of people we call sponsors in my career development. I'll just show you quickly the essentials of having mentorship in your career development. So I started as a volunteer, and this is one of my mentors, Dr. Yapebi. Some of you might have known him. And I started off volunteering for him when he was serving as the group CEO of the business. That's the hard group, you know. So I started volunteering with him. When he's going to train, I'll go with him to train people. I saw him do the training. I helped him with sometimes with the materials that he needed, the resources that he needed. I helped organize the training sessions for him. And whilst on the job, I was learning how to do training, how to organize training, how to do training needs assessment and all of that. That helped my job. And that's how it helps in having a mentor. He gives you feedback. Sometimes I'm the one who is doing the training. He's giving me feedback. He's giving me instruction on how I can do it better. And these are other mentors that I have. Joyce, I, had her in most of our sessions, and on the religious sector, I have Mr. Bishop Bodai. Then also, you also need to have a mentee. The need for you to have a mentee is also to help you transfer skills. And each time you are transferring skills and coaching people, you are empowered to learn more because you know that there are other people looking up to you to learn from you. And this is one of the mentees that I actually mentored throughout the period of she being in school. When she was in school, I mentored her, helped her to take up leadership in school, SRC. After I helped her to get a job with the business I was working in. So she did her national service there. After that, she was taken on and she maintained it. While she was working with us, I organized a conference, just like a conference like this we are in, organized by the African Job Portal. And then she came in, and while she was there, she participated in the conversation, the discussion, and one of the panel members that I brought in to do the speaking took notice of her. So how she was responding to questions and problem solving interactive. And then that person became the HR for one of the financial institutions and then poached her. So she got a job offer through that person just because she was interactive and shown capabilities. And so when she had the interview, she shown herself capable and she took it on. So my point is that network, find a mentor, find a sponsor. Sponsor is somebody who creates job opportunities for you. And these people are always looking out for your interest. So my last job offer I had was by the help of a sponsor. He knew about a company that was recruiting for an HR role, and he thought I was qualified. So he put in a word for me. He says, okay, business, this is someone I know. I'm not going to say much. I want you to interview him yourself, look at his capabilities and see if he's well qualified to be the one to get this job. I went in, I conducted the interview, I performed well, I believed, and then I got the job offer. This is the person I'm talking about. This is Chris Senanu. He's one of the leading persons in management. He's a director and a board member for many boards in Kenya. But that's exciting. He's one of the people I'm working with. So look out for people like that. Try to see how you can help their project. Try to see how you can contribute to their work and tell them to create opportunities for you because they do. And when they do, they give you leverage, So that is what I want to leave you with. Find a mentor. A mentor is someone who challenges you, someone who invests in your success. And he's well experienced, so he can give you guidance on your journey. They guide you towards answers you need when you have questions and you don't have answers to. You can always walk up to them. They'll provide you with perspective that will help you navigate your career journey. And they are sometimes at where you want to be. So, they become your role model more or less, and they inspire you. They provide you with constructive feedback. And these are people you need to respect and listen to them and always be there because they will make themselves available to you when they realize that you are yourself available and you are positioned to be mentored. So this is where I would want to bring my presentation to. And the other thing is just to tell you about the differences between mentors and sponsors. But when you have the opportunity to have a mentor, this is what you need to do. Sometimes people say that, yeah, how do I find a mentor? And if I have a mentor, how do I go about the relationship? What they do basically is that they help you to navigate the current challenges and the choices of life, So when you meet them, the first thing to do is to tell them what you really enjoy about your conversations with them in the past. Probably someone has written a book, probably somebody has spoken at a place that you happen to be in, and you found his presentation very exciting. When you meet him or her, that is the first point of connection. That's not the time for you to be jumping around to say, oh, I want to take a picture with you. You want to tell them how valuable their resources have been to you, because they want to. And when you have opportunity to meet them, mention how often you would want to meet them, because it's a journey. So you could agree that every month, once in a month, you're going to meet them, and just to evaluate, they give you feedback, you tell them what you're doing, and they provide you with advice and perspective. Explain to them that you will be putting together agenda to ensure each meeting is successful, like it has focus and direction. Don't just go and jump at your mentors. Yeah, I have a meeting with you today, you go and you're not prepared. Tell them, okay, I'm meeting you today. These are the things I want us to talk about. And I hope that when we meet, we can be able to talk about this. So set the agenda, make it clear, all right? And most importantly, frame the mentorship as something that you like to consider. You don't want anyone to be talking on the role out of a sense of obligation. They are not obliged to you, but let them know you want them to consider mentoring you. And once you do this very well, you're likely to have a mentor who can help you on your journey, career journey, because sometimes in the world of the corporate world, there are situations that it's difficult to navigate. You don't have answers to them, right? There are gray sides, there are organizational politics here and there. And if you have a mentor, that is a person you can always go to and rely on to provide you with perspective and answers, right? This is a story I want to end with. A friend of mine used it, and I think it's exciting. It says, first, I was dying to finish my high school and start college. And then I was dying to finish college and start working. Then I was dying to marry and have children. And then I was dying to have my children grow old enough so I could go back to work. But then I was dying to retire. And now I'm dying, and suddenly I realize I forgot to leave. Whatever the situation you're going through right now, whether you have a job or you don't have a job for which you are forgetting to leave, I want you to know time is passing. So live a moment, enjoy the moment, have the joy that each day brings to you. Don't allow depression to set in. Just find the right association and network. Find the mentors you need to find. Position yourself to be well prepared for interviews, and structure your resumes well. When that opportunity comes, grabs it. I would like you to remember that your belief system either imprisons you or unleashes your potential in this life. This is because you can never live beyond the limits of your belief system and mindset. So if you think there are no job in the system, that is how it's going to be to you. But if you also believe there are job opportunities, so you need to prepare for them, then you can prepare yourself and position yourself rightly for them. So I challenge you this afternoon to have a paradigm shift, have a belief shift, and prepare with all the information that you've been given this afternoon. And I'm sure I will see you at the top. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow you'll be my employer, and I look up to that. Thank you very much. Any question, please, Frank?
All right, thank you very much, Adam. I think our audience is very grateful for the time and effort you spent, and the wonderful presentation that you made to help us to be able to understand the career, our careers, how we should take ownership of it, and then move forward, and then do what we can in order to get to the targets that we want. We really appreciate your time, and we really thank all the members of the audience for being able to join today, taking our time out of their busy schedules to be able to join us and then learn more about this subject. There's a poll going around, so please try and fill it. It will really help us in order to be able to plan for the next webinar, so that your needs will be discussed in the next webinar as well. Thank you very much. If anyone has a question for Mr. Edem, please raise your hand up and then ask your question so that we can do a short question and answer session before we have to go. I know we're a little bit behind time. We scheduled for an hour, but we're a little bit behind. So if you could keep your questions brief and then we could answer them. All right. Okay, Larry, please go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adam. Wonderful presentation. Okay, my question is, should one compensation or be loyal to an institution with low remuneration?
So Adam, I think, did you hear the question?
Yes, so Larry, so I was just actually even scrolling. I realized you posted it on the chat as well.
Yeah.
So two things. Businesses cherish loyalty, right? But I wouldn't generalize so that you don't miss the mark. There are some businesses that cherish loyalty, but it's not loyalty over competence. It's one of the things that HRs have to deal with most of the time, because people think that I've been the longest serving employee within the business. But then what happens is that I see that they employ new people and sometimes they bring them on top of me, right? Even though I've been the longest serving here. So then sometimes people feel grieved that it's just not fair to me. I've been loyal to the business for all this while, but then they bring people and then they bring them on top of me. So yes, businesses value loyalty, but it's loyalty versus performance or competence. And then again, sometimes most of us become complacent also because we've stayed too long in a particular business. So we fail to have additional value to ourselves. So example, if a business employ you and they put you in an entry-level position, the only way you can advance to a managerial role is when you begin to show managerial competencies. Like I made a presentation to you, I told you in the presentation. It's not enough to just be doing your work, because managerial level means that you are going to lead people. And we want to see leadership in you. But the only way we can see is when you demonstrate it, right? That's why I mentioned the need for you to take up volunteerism on projects to show your leadership skill. So unfortunately, what happens is that because sometimes the opportunity is not given for people who have worked for so long to lead, we don't see that leadership that they have. Sometimes they really have. It's not like they don't have it, they have it, but businesses don't give them that opportunity. So what we advise employers to also do is that they should create projects within the business that gives opportunity for these people to lead, for us to evaluate their leadership skill. The second thing is that when businesses advertise role internally, you should actually jump on it, apply for it. Sometimes we have people saying that, oh, even if I apply, I don't think they're going to take me. So the job is advertised, but then outsiders apply for it instead of you applying for it internally. So you may be loyal, but you may not have the opportunity to have that growth for which you would have had salary increment, or for which you would have had a compensation increment. So you realize that you are loyal, but then other people are being brought in and they are being paid more than you are being paid. The second thing I want to say, but I want to also say with caution, is that sometimes the best challenge you can give yourself, and I hope I'm answering your question, is to go out of your comfort zone. So Larry, if you work with a business for 7 years, 10 years, there's a possibility that you have become very comfortable because you know the terrain, you know how things work. So you are relaxed and you are not actually challenging yourself for more. So usually in HR, what we would say is that try to find opportunities somewhere that would challenge you to growth. There are pros and cons, and you must know. When you jump from the business you are right now to another business, what you need to know is that it's a new environment. Now, for the next 3 months or 6 months, you have to prove your inclusion in what we call your probation period. The possibility of you being confirmed after that 3 months or 6 months is dependent on your performance. But if you're really audacious and you believe that you are competent enough, you can take those chances. what it means is that, again, in HR, we say that you don't make people worse off than they are when they are coming to your business. That's why usually businesses would have an increment for somebody they are bringing into the business. If you don't understand, I'm giving you that pour for free right now. That's actually what happens. You know, so if the person was taking a 5,000, the business can only negotiate to say, okay, we're giving you 5,000 again, or we'll add maybe 100 to that 5,000, or a 200 to that 5,000. So that's why it looks like most of the time when people are coming outside, they are taking more than you. But most businesses, if it's a real structured business, will still put the person within the salary range of that role. So we have the upper level of that role and we have the lower level of that role. So the person may come in at an upper level. That's why probably the person might have more than you, because you may still be at the lower level of that same role, even though it's still within the same band, but it's just the range that differs. So your question as to whether you should stay loyal or you should jump for new opportunities for higher remuneration, I would say it's dependent on your career aspiration and goal. If where you are still building experience, probably like I mentioned, you've just joined a business, you've just done 1 year, it's not good to really jump around. Because when you jump around also and an HR is recruiting you, the tendency is that he would think that you are somebody who is not so stable. If we get you in, by the next 1 year, you may be jumping for another new opportunity for higher remuneration. So they'll be looking at you too, right? So it's good to commit to yourself at least 3 to 4 years in where you are, gain some good experience. If you're a high performer, talk to HR, let them know that you think you've paid your dues and you deserve an increment. If it's not coming, but you think you're really working hard, I mean, you are a good performer, high performer, to say that I'll take opportunities outside. So both of them goes together. Sometimes it's every business wants loyalty. Even the ones you want to jump up to will be looking out for loyalty. So if they think that you've done 6 months, just 1 year, and you are jumping off, they would be careful in, considering you for the new job itself. So loyalty matters, but then when you think you have to challenge yourself for new opportunities too, you have to go for it and grab it. I hope I've answered your question, Larry.
Yeah. Yes, we have a lot of questions. So, Grace, can you please go ahead with your question? Grace, can you unmute and then ask your question, please? Okay, it seems she's not ready. Sauda Hassan, can you please ask your question?
Hello, everyone.
Yes, please, I can hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, my question is this. Currently, I'm an unemployed person. Unemployed. Okay. I have a talent in customer service personnel. I mean, it just comes automatic. But then academically, I love, like researchers.
Sauda, you keep muting, so you keep breaking off.
I keep muting?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, please
okay,
go ahead.
I was asking, I have a talent like in customer service, like handling people with customer service.
Okay.
And then I have a passion for research work.
Okay.
So then I'm usually confused. Should I take, like a career development in customer service, like, learning, how to talk to people with special needs, just interpersonal skills and, like communication skills and all that? Yeah. Or should I focus on my research work? So what do you think? What career goals should I take? Which path should I take?
Okay, Adam, over to you.
Yeah, Frank, if she can take it again, I'm not clear on the question.
Okay, so her question is that she has two passions. She's very interested in customer service, speaking to people, helping them out, etc. And she also has an active interest in research. So which she's at a crossroads and doesn't know which career to really dive into. And what would you suggest she does?
Okay. Thank you. Please, the name again, sorry.
Hassan Sauda.
Hassan. Interesting question. And truth of the matter is that you can do both. Okay, so I'll tell you why. I think our training naturally makes us think that sometimes you have to choose between two things, right? Admittedly, there are things that you are stronger in doing, or your competencies are high in than the other. But customer service actually requires some level of research. Okay, so example, if you are a customer service person in a business, you would want to have a research to know your customers, your understanding of your customers, your understanding of your customers' needs, your understanding of what is relevant to your customers helps you to be a better person in serving them. And then if you were in a business that actually takes customer service seriously, one of the things most of the time they will require you to do would be to conduct surveys, gather data, analyze the data, and find out how that is informing the market and how well you are doing as a business. So that skill you have as a research person is actually relevant to your service as a customer service person as well. So don't look at them as two divergent skill sets that you have that are not relevant for each other. So probably what you need to know is to try to evaluate yourself and actually talk to some of your colleagues that you work with to find out which of them they think you are really, really, really good at. Is it more of the research or it is more of the customer service? The reason why I'm saying this is that sometimes probably the reason we are asking this question is that for your customer service, for your research skill, you are looking at committing it to academia, maybe being in academia. So what it means is that you would be either lecturing or you'll be conducting researches for publications, or you will be a consultant to other businesses. So you really need to find out what your real interest is. But if it's about wanting to do the two, then I'll tell you, go for the customer service, because again, whilst you are serving as a customer service person, your research skills will also be relevant in using whilst you are with the business. So the two are important, but just find out where your interest really is. If it's in the corporate space to do customer service, go for it, because your customer service skill and research skill will be used extensively. But if it's academia, then you want to do and focus more just on the research. But the two are relevant skills and they can go together. You don't have to choose one or the other.
All right. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you, Hassan, for your question, Sauda. There's another question, the last question that we have, which says, can you still add or develop your career even if you're very close to the retirement age? When would it be too late?
I love this question. So truth be told, it's never too late, right? It's never too late because career is not centered around just having a job with another business. It also means starting your own thing. And I know people who actually started things where they finally found their passion and what they really want to do after they have retired from the jobs they were working in. And for those of us, like I mentioned to you, career development is not just one job you do. So those of us who are actually even working right now, we can find interest in other things that we do and start working them out or leveraging on them, right? So my wife worked with a passport and travel agency, all right, visa processing agency, but she has passion for catering. She does this cake, she's into bakery. So she does cake, she does this biscuit and all other kinds of things, you know, pie and all of that. So while she was working with this company, on weekends, she does the catering services. She does the bakery and then, you know, sell out to people. So it's a combination of doing her official job and then on weekends do this as well. Subsequently, she thought about employing people who will still be doing it while she attends to her business in the corporate space, going to the company she works with. So she was doing it alongside. So those are multiple streams of income. And in actual fact, in this hard economical times, that's actually what most of us needs to be doing. So I'm just trying to answer your question that even if you were at a retiring age and you found a new passion, which actually is centered on your skill set or something that you really want to do, you can still go ahead and start it as your own business. Or maybe even all the experiences you've gained over the years in the employment space that you are in, it's a good time for you to begin to serve as a consultant to those businesses, because businesses actually cherish institutional knowledge, right? So you've had the experience, you had the knowledge, and now you are retiring. You can't go away with it. It's now time for you to put it at the expense of businesses and they pay you for it. So you can actually also become a consultant. So it's never too late. Even if it's retirement, you are still useful. Your value is still needed in the corporate space. So go out there and offer it to people whilst you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you very much, Adam. I would like to chip in this point with regards to this question. There was a webinar I joined as well, and then the expert was talking about why it's important to have something else to do even though you're retiring. If you retire and you rest, your body breaks down much faster because you are not doing anything. You're immobile. You're always at one place. But if you have something else that makes your body work, your mind works, it also helps you as well in order to stay fit and stay attached to current situations and help you to be able to move on as well. So picking up a hobby or something that can earn you some money, as you said, even consulting after your retirement is a very great idea, because he mentioned that out of a group of 5, when they all retired, 4 of them died, only 1 was left alive. The one who was left alive was still working on the side. He was still working even though he was retired. So more often than not, when we allow ourselves to relax during the retirement age, we end up breaking down much quicker than we thought. So that's also something to keep in mind. This brings us to the end of our presentation, our webinar today. We want to thank each and every one of you. We want to thank you a lot, Adam, for joining this to be able to share your knowledge with us and help us in order to make decisions going forward with regards to our career. We want to thank the Jobs Board team that also did all they could to support this webinar to make sure that it also happened accordingly. All members of the AAU who are also on the call, we also thank you for joining. And each and every member who is here, thank you very much for buying our time out of your busy schedule to be able to share with us. We would communicate with Mr. Adam and then share the PowerPoint with you, and then we'll also share a review survey with you. Thank you very much, and please enjoy the rest of the day. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Frank. The team can connect anytime through the contacts I provided there as well. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Frank, thanks for having me.
No problem at all. I'll reach out to you soon.
Very well.
Mm.